Clockwork Angel initiates Cassandra Clare's historical fantasy trilogy, The Infernal Devices, serving as a prequel to her globally acclaimed series, The Mortal Instruments. Originally released in 2010, it was followed by Clockwork Prince in 2011 and Clockwork Princess in 2013. The narrative revolves around Tessa Gray, an American protagonist navigating Victorian London, who unearths her connection to the Shadow World, a clandestine realm teeming with supernatural beings, angels, and demons. Clockwork Angel swiftly ascended to the apex of the New York Times children's series bestsellers list upon its debut. In April 1878, Tessa Gray arrives in England to rendezvous with her brother, Nathaniel, Nate, in London, subsequent to the demise of their Aunt Harriet. However, her anticipated reunion at the docks is disrupted when she encounters two enigmatic women, Mrs. Dark and Mrs. Black, accompanied by their peculiar coachman. Assuring Tessa of their affiliation with her brother, they usher her into a carriage marked by an Ouroboros symbol, a depiction of two serpents consuming each other's tails. Concurrently, elsewhere in London, two adolescent Shadowhunters, guardians imbued with angelic powers, stumble upon the aftermath of a young girl's murder. Will, Herondale and James, Carstairs, despite their efforts, arrive too late to rescue the victim but unearth a cryptic dagger emblazoned with the same twin serpent insignia. 6 weeks transpire, and Tessa remains confined within the abode of the Dark Sisters, coerced into compliance under the threat of harm befalling her brother. Amidst her captivity, she encounters solely the coachman and a servant named Miranda, an automaton. Throughout this period, the Dark Sisters subject Tessa to harrowing experiments, unlocking her latent ability to transform her physical form. Exploiting this newfound power, Tessa assumes the identities of deceased individuals by donning objects associated with them, thereby gaining fleeting insights into their lives, personas, or final moments. After successfully assuming the identity of Emma Bayliss and recounting her demise at the hands of the Serpent Dagger, Tessa concludes her training under the Dark Sisters. They disclose their intention for Tessa to wed a man known as the Magister. On the night of her attempted escape, Tessa encounters Will Herondale, who, pursuing Emma Bayliss's murder investigation, locates the Dark Sisters. Will aids Tessa's flight and escorts her to the Institute, the central hub for Shadowhunters in London. There, Tessa acquaints herself with other members of the Shadowhunter community, Jem, Charlotte, Henry, and Jessamine. Charlotte, heading the Institute, pledges to assist Tessa in locating her brother while they pursue their inquiry. As Tessa acclimatizes to the Shadowhunter realm, both Will and Jem develop affection for her, supporting her in embracing her latent abilities. Meanwhile, Charlotte and Henry engage with Axel Mortmain, Nate's former employer, discovering his connection to the Shadow World through the Pandemonium Club, overseen by the Magister. Mortmain hints that Alexei de Quincey, leader of a vampire clan and a prominent figure in the club, might be the Magister. Additional information from Camille Belcourt, a local vampire informant, suggests de Quincey's involvement in clandestine human torture gatherings. To gather evidence against de Quincey, Tessa agrees to shapeshift and infiltrate one of these events, disguised as Camille. At de Quincey's party, Tessa assumes Camille's guise, with Will as her human companion. With the assistance of Warlock Magnus Bane, they uncover blueprints detailing the infusion of demonic energy into clockwork automatons. Witnessing de Quincey's menacing conduct toward a captive human, Will signals the Clave to intervene. During the ensuing raid, the captive's identity is unveiled as Tessa's long-lost brother, Nate. Though both Tessa and Will face peril at de Quincey's hands, the Clave subdues the vampires and rescues Nate, returning him and Tessa safely to the Institute. Unable to apprehend de Quincey, the Shadowhunters pin their hopes on Nate's potential revelations once he regains consciousness. Later that evening, amidst a kiss shared between Will and Tessa, Will abruptly dismisses her without explanation. Nate, upon awakening, unveils de Quincey's manipulation, leveraging Nate's indebtedness to the Pandemonium Club to coerce his cooperation, threatening Tessa's safety. De Quincey and Mortmain, familiar with Tessa's lineage and powers through her parents' connection to the club, intended to exploit her abilities for their nefarious agenda. Nate divulges their sinister plot to the Shadowhunters. De Quincey and the Dark Sisters possess mastery over a demonic animation spell, plotting to amass an army of automatons to obliterate the Clave. Acting swiftly, Charlotte, Henry, and the Clave rush to the address disclosed by Nate. Meanwhile, Mortmain arrives at the Institute, disclosing to Will and Jem a second location where the Dark Sisters conduct their ritual. Will and Jem depart, leaving Tessa, Jessamine, and Nate behind, hopeful they can thwart the scheme in time. However, Mortmain reveals his true identity as the Magister and launches an assault on the Institute with his automatons. Will and Jem, arriving at the Dark Sisters' residence, find it deserted except for Mrs. Dark, endeavoring to revive her sister. Realizing the deception, they hasten back to the Institute. Meanwhile, Mortmain threatens Jessamine and the Institute's inhabitants, demanding Tessa's surrender. Claiming to have manipulated her conception, Mortmain asserts ownership over Tessa. Refusing to yield, Tessa feigns self-harm to catch Mortmain off guard, allowing Will to apprehend him. Despite Nate's escape with the Institute's cache of demonic energies, Tessa and the Shadowhunters must report the ordeal to the Clave, who will pursue further investigation. Charlotte extends an invitation for Tessa to remain at the Institute, an offer she accepts. However, when Tessa seeks solace with Will, he rebuffs her, leaving her hurt. Turning to Jem, she finds comfort, as he subtly hints at his affection for her. As the story concludes, Tessa's Clockwork Angel pendant, a cherished memento from her mother, mysteriously reappears, having vanished during the battle. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.